.net. This is Gagru Live on Facebook with our guest, Stepan Partamian, live from Yerevan. And those of you, I'm sure he's not strange to you. You all know him. He's a great guy. He called himself a social critic, Armenian social critic, but I always call him Armenian language policeman. So we're gonna find out now. Whatever you think about Stepan, whether he's a controversial man, there's no question about it, but he tell everything as is, and sometimes that's not easy. And he's trying to separate the fiction, fact from fiction, you know, and so he's not only does this virtual video on YouTube, others, he does lots of really physical things for Armenians. For example, a few months ago, he put up this Armenian, he called it Genie Fest, Armenian wine festival. He showcased Armenian wines to the American audience and other people. There was over hundreds of products. And if you remember the Armenian Rose Parade, the Fatola, he was the leader into doing that. So he writes books. He does lots of stuff. It's not just what he talk about it. So he's involved in physically and virtually. He does both. And so he now took his crusade. He moved to Yerevan. So we're gonna find out how is life in Yerevan. So Stepan, welcome to Gagru.net. We warmly like to see you again.
Bari Luis, how are you, Wally?
I'm good. Bari Irgun in Armenia.
Bari Luis. Well, for me, it's always 24 hours. It's all about light.
Yes. So welcome to Gagru.net.
Yes. It's interesting that now that I moved to Armenia, it's been almost a month and a half. And it's so interesting, like, how you can see reality in Armenia. And when you talk about it, I've been invited to so many interviews here because my way of thinking is different, and the younger generation loves me like crazy. I wasn't expecting to be this popular in Armenia. But unfortunately, when you talk about the truth, people tell you you're a controversial person. But all I'm doing is I'm trying to open up the eyes to the reality of what Yerevan is and what we Armenians are. And, you know, we love to lie to each other. We are the greatest of all people, yet neither in Yerevan nor in Los Angeles we are behaving as the greatest of people. We take upon us the ability of just one individual, and we think that we are that individual by uttering names of, you know, they're this Armenian. How come you're saying that Armenians are stupid? And then they say, well, there is this individual, he has done this and this and that. So I tell them, go buy my books, and I just move on.
So what do we call your move? Did you move to a new country? Did you move, you emigrated to Armenia? You moved to your homeland? Or you took a residency? What is your vocabulary for that?
I just made a decision in my life that I don't want to be the guinea pig working and making things happen and just like live on a month-to-month basis. So right now I live in Armenia with a limited budget, yet I'm more productive, I'm more relaxed, my health is much better. My research and my existence in life right now is based on the research that I would like to do and documentations that I like to do. In Los Angeles, with all its financial abilities, since I was a straightforward guy, I could not secure the funds for that. So here in Yerevan, I don't need to secure any funds because with the limited budget that I can create in Los Angeles, I can sit down and do my research. Somebody asked me, is it like love of the country, love of the nation. I said, no, it's just a smart decision I made so that whatever I do in the next 100 years, when people reflect back to 2019 and say, there was Stepan Partamian who documented everything and spoke about the truth, how hypocrite we Armenians are on this planet. Yet, at the same time, provide proofs for the intellectual and geographical wealth that we Armenians have.
Something here went wrong.
Just an image came in between you and me. There you go, it went.
Yeah, I don't know, like your image is frozen, but that's okay. We could hear you, so go ahead.
Yeah, well, my image is frozen. Well, you can hear me.
Yeah.
So basically, right now in Yerevan, I enjoy my day. When I walk on the streets, I have so many people approaching me and wanting to take pictures with me. And then the smart ones, they're going to have a dialogue with me. They want to pick my brain. The younger generation wants to sit down and talk. And somebody told me, he goes, we would love to talk just like you, but we are afraid of talking about our identity.
Yeah.
So you are doing what we cannot do. Others, they look at me, they start laughing, and I can distinguish between the stupid Armenians and the smart Armenians in Yerevan by the way they react to my presence in their environment. It's so ironic that there are so many, as I always say, 51% of Armenians, regardless where you are, they're stupid. 49% of Armenians, regardless where you are, they're smart. From Los Angeles to Yerevan, from Lebanon to, I don't know, Zimbabwe. Lately I've been using this word Zimbabwe a lot.
So right now, do you run any of your shows that Barry Lewis or your?
Yeah, I started doing my shows every Sunday, just like I used to do. I took a free time for a month from July, a month of July. When I came, I relaxed here. And now in August, I started doing a Sunday night show from Yerevan. And it's my second show. And the second one, the first one I just showed what I do. I walk around here and there. The second one was about this Voske Porik organization who deals with kids who have cerebral palsy, autism, handicaps that Armenians are so ashamed of to present them. Remember, those are from villages, and the mentality in villages is worse than the mentality in Yerevan. So there is this individual who goes and knocks at doors and provides services, and I did a segment about that, and I'm asking my friends to donate to that cause. I'm just trying to raise $2,000, which is peanuts for so many people in Los Angeles and in Yerevan, to help them secure an office space for two years' rent, which is the rent is $57 a month, and to secure two shoes and this material that they use, I don't know what it is called, for the kids to have their legs put in it so that they will not be damaged. So basically, I'm here to present the reality of Armenia, and I always say Yerevan is not the most beautiful city in the world, but I choose to be in it. And today on Facebook I wrote, there is no Armenia in heaven. Let's make sure that, here I said it in Armenian, Տրախտում Հայաստան չկա, եկեք երկրի վրայի Հայաստանը դարձնենք հրաշալի եւ ոչ ծիծաղալի. There is no heaven, there is no Armenia in heaven. Well, actually there is no heaven anyhow. There is no Armenia in heaven. Let's make Armenia on this planet great again and not be fun of so many other people. I mean, you can see so many things in Yerevan and you make fun of how Armenians are. Nobody talks about it because we have this hypocrisy of you can't say bad things, you always have to say good things. But then you look around you and you see that we are really very primitive people living in Yerevan. And it is just like as stupid as it gets in way of showing off and saying that we are the best.
Yeah, that's what is those media in Armenia they wanted to interview? What is they wanted to find out? What was their typical questions?
Well, there are so many. Approaches to it. Some people want to instigate provocative thinking. Some people want to have more people, because everything in Armenia. See, right now the internet is the core media outlets of everybody. Everybody can have any media outlet. So people want to use me so that they can have more people watching them. But again, for them it is the idea of how can you go on the air and say Armenians are stupid. And in Armenian, abush means anushatir. And I explain to them, and I give them the proofs of everything that we do, which is like so unbelievably stupid, yet we call ourselves the smartest of people. Now, and then I'm sure like some people right now, they're going to comment underneath this interview saying, he is the stupidest guy, blah, 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 but they're sitting in their, like how horses, they have their, they cover their eyes from the side. That's what Armenians do. They don't look outside of the vision in front of them. And unfortunately, it is only for half a centimeter or 1 inch. It's not for the next 50 years what we're going to be doing. So that's how unfortunate it is. And I speak about the reality. When I say Yerevan is not the most beautiful city in the world, but I choose to be in it. Nobody listens the part where I say, with affection, I choose to be living in Yerevan. They just start arguing with me about, how dare you to say Yerevan is not the most beautiful city in the world. And so it's so ironic that they haven't left Yerevan in their whole life. They haven't been in 25 countries, in hundreds of cities that they're much beautiful than Yerevan. But I choose to be. I mean, one of my favorite cities is Porto in Portugal. And it is much cheaper than Yerevan. To live in Portugal is much cheaper. Poland is much cheaper to live in than Yerevan. But I choose to be in Yerevan. And that's what they don't understand. They're only trying to be protective of the idea of we have the most beautiful city in the world, but they haven't seen any other cities. So reality hurts. And what I'm trying to do is just to show them that you don't have to travel to any other country. Just go Google some other countries and see their pictures.
Yeah.
And you see that they're much beautiful than Yerevan, because Yerevan, it could be that it was based on a beautiful architecture, but today it has turned into the most ugliest buildings that you can have in the world. It's everybody can do anything to their balcony, to their extra room. They can paint it any which way. They can add floors to their building, regardless if that building can handle another extra weight of a floor or not. Because everybody is so selfish, they want to do whatever is beneficiary for them. The same thing while driving in the streets. I mean, if we are the smartest people on the planet, then how come people drive without noticing that there's another car next to them? And there are so many accidents and so many deaths because they drive like crazy. They drive like, like when you had nothing in life and somebody gave you a car and you don't know how to drive it, and you go in it and you see the speed and you start speeding, and you think that that's the way a car should be driven. And then suddenly there are so many accidents, pedestrians are killed, cars are like flipped over and drivers were killed. And then it becomes, oh, it wasn't his fault, it was blah, 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 blah. But in reality, it is their stupidity and their lack of logic. I mean, in Yerevan, there is no logic. Yeah. And that's how society is.
Yeah, there is this other issue in Armenian is man is king. And I just got 2 days ago, people sent me lots of stuff. In Gumri, this woman, girl, they married to this guy. Mm-hmm. And, typical, they go there, a church and all that stuff. And she got pregnant and she popped up a girl, a baby girl. And this guy says, oh, I don't like girl. Sorry, I'm leaving. So she
because we're the smartest of all people on the
Yeah,
planet.
he leave and he goes. This poor girl now living in the shack has no food, no electricity. Basically, all the donation they bring him. So this little kid is 4-year-old. She make only 35,000 whatever drum, and she pay 1,000 drum to somebody take care of the baby, and she can't get even any help from government. And but this man is free, take off and go. There's no rule, no regulation, and
And it's
this
just,
is, I have so many stories like this. It's
oh,
just
but you can't.
amazing.
Yeah, but then if you talk about it, Armenians in the diaspora are going to tell you that you are against Armenia.
I know.
Armenians over here, they're going to tell you that how dare you protect a woman's right, and then we call ourselves the smartest of all people on the planet. That's
Man,
how.
man is king in Armenia. That's it.
See,
Like,
the new generation is working the other way. There are lots of independent women here right now in their late 20s, early 30s, who don't give a shit about any man's way of thinking or doing whatever. And things were going to change. And especially right now with the Istanbul Convention, and then the proclamation that some countries are not signing and not, which talks about women's rights.
yeah.
And Armenians don't want to sign it because in one of the sub sentences it says that it protects, it is about the abuse of women, it is about domestic violence, and domestic violence does not limit between man and woman. It could be in a gay relationship too. Just because of that sentence, whole Armenia is up right now saying that they don't want to sign that thing because it advances the gay movement in Armenia. But you look all around you, there are lots of gays on the street, and there are lots of hidden normal people considering themselves to be normal, which are gays.
Let me give you another story. I interviewed this wonderful member of parliament, his opposition party. Her name is Naira Zohrabian.
Yeah.
And she told me, she says, we made a law that if husband beat the wife, they
Yeah.
should call the police, and the police should come and protect the woman.
Yeah.
So that she contacted this member of parliament, her situation, because the husband was even burning her with cigarette, right?
Yeah.
And so this member of parliament, Naira, to intervene. The mother of the girl, the wife of this guy, called this member of parliament, tell her, do not get involved in our family life. The husband has the right to do whatever he wants. This
Yeah.
is how stupid the society is.
Yeah, because see, here is another issue. Because that young girl got married, she was a virgin because virginity is the honor of the family.
Exactly.
Now, if that woman, that young girl, who got beaten by the husband, she complains, then she's going to ask for divorce. Then the honor of the family will be that they have a woman who's not virgin and she has a kid, and nobody's going to talk to her because they still live in the Ottoman era of Talat Pasha, not Lenin Babik, Talat Pasha time, 100 years ago, where they thought that women have no rights, and if you're not a virgin, that means that they think that still Virgin Mary is virgin. That's why their daughters have to stay virgin. See, hypocrisy is the biggest problem here, and that's because of lack of education. The younger generation is getting educated, and they don't give a shit about how the older people think about virginity or not. So here, you're going to have automatic changes in this society in the next 10, 15 years, regardless they accept the Istanbul Convention or it's an honor issue for the woman not to report against her husband, because husband is the matriarch of the family and he can do anything he wants.
You talk to those girls, everyone
Yeah.
you talk to says, I'm 30 or 25, I'm virgin. Why? Why you're missing on the beautiful thing in life? Have a boyfriend, go enjoy life.
Because
It's stupid things. Oh, the man will not. And those mans are 24-hour on, lots of them, and around, what is that?
the strip club.
They're like prostitute all over there. So
Yeah,
that
because,
man is okay to go do, but the poor woman has to be virgin. You know,
yeah,
it's just so hypocritic
I know, but
society.
here's another situation. A married couple, their sexual behavior is the essence of their relationship. I mean, there are two reasons for any divorce. One is financial, one is sexual relationship. In Armenia, men think that their women, who are supposed to be the mother of their kids, are very sainthood. Motherhood is a sainthood. So a woman cannot give a blowjob. Your wife cannot give you a blowjob because then she has to kiss your kid and then her mouth will be dirty. This is how stupid.
You've gone too much. Okay.
Listen, this is Stepan Partamian. I say it the way it is.
Yeah,
But
okay.
their girlfriends can give them a BJ because they're not the parent, they're not the mother of their kids.
Yeah.
This is how backwarded people are in Armenia. But the new generation is changing. The new generation who has seen what the outside world is. And that's what the elderly are afraid of losing their authoritarian system on the younger generation. But believe it or not, with their wishes or without their wishes, the younger generation is changing. The revolution, the so-called revolution or changing of the guards in Armenia did not happen because the elderly thought about it. It happened because of the younger generation and their realistic approach of life. In 2005, when I was asked in Armenia in an interview, what do you see the future of Armenia? At that time I said, one generation, 25 years from now, there will be a change of guards. There will be a revolution in Armenia. It just happened.
Yeah.
So being realist is more beneficiary for the Armenian identity than being the hypocrites and covering everything just because men have no guts to accept reality of a woman and her sexual behavior or a woman in her place in a society.
Armenia has to wait until the 18-year-old of today become 30 and 40, and those old generations disappear. Things will be completely different. But until that happens.
Yeah. See, the first generation did the change of guards. The second generation will do change of cultural understanding because they're going to be more realist. This is what lacks in Armenia. Nobody will accept reality. Even though they live in it, they do everything according to reality, but they will not express that reality is the essence of their existence. Yeah. So therefore, because their grandparents did it in a way, in the 21st century, they want to do it the same way. Yeah. But unfortunately, lots of people are getting damaged with it. But in any war, you need to have some casualties, and some of those women are becoming the casualties of this male chauvinistic statements that they do here now.
Yeah. I don't want to say majority, but lots of people in Armenia, they physically live in 21st century, but mind-wise, they still live in 18th century. Really they haven't changed anything in their life.
Well, not even 18th century. They're still back in the 7th or 8th century. Yeah. 18th century, there was so much freedom in Europe in 18th century. No, we are so backwarded. And see, the fear is that we're going to lose our identity. But what is identity? Every identity that we had is all adoptive identity. Whereas the real identity of who we are, Armenians are, is hidden and nobody wants to identify with it. And it's so ironic that the whole planet is identifying with the identity that Armenians spread to the world some 10,000 years ago. And then today Armenians are waiting for Jesus to come for the second time from another virgin. And like Jesus' mother is still virgin till right now. She had kids from Joseph, yet she's still virgin. And that's how hypocritic society has turned it.
It's just the whole thing replicated on the society from top to the bottom, you know. And now we're kids born and we take them to church, says, you are now Christian, you will like it or not, you know. So I don't know if I asked you this before. Is church Christianity actually is a liability or asset for Armenians?
You have asked me this last time you interviewed me.
I did? Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So now I'll respond back to it again. Christianity is a major liability in a sense that it has destroyed our identity. And then you are stuck with it, and you're passing from generation to generation saying, this is your identity, where it talks about internationalism. The Christian faith or any faith on this planet is about internationalism, including the communism. Communism and Christianity, there is no difference. They're identical. It's only like 2,000 years different. But being an Armenian is a national identity. So here it is a liability in a sense that you want to be an Armenian, yet you are forced to be a Christian, and you're confused between wanting to look to Yerevan or to Jerusalem. Jerusalem gam Yerevan. Every Sunday you go to a church, the Badarak is all about going to Jerusalem. Nobody tells you go to Yerevan. I came to Yerevan. I hate to go to Jerusalem. So Yerevan and Jerusalem, they both start with the Ye. But it's unfortunate that as an Armenian, we need to look inwards towards Yerevan, not outwards to Jerusalem.
So are you nationalistic or realistic man?
I'm a realist. Sometimes in today's society, the word nationalist has become into this very negative thing. I believe in a coexistence of all nations together. But the minute you become the slave of another nation, which we are, we have been since 1700s and before that too. Since beginning of time, not beginning of time, after of, because we started with the time and then they made us become slaves. Religion just is there just to make you not think freely. And today's society, all the nations who advance are the nations who think freely. We are not an advanced nation. Armenia is not an advanced nation. All you need to do is come live in Armenia and you'll see. I mean, I know now people will be mad at me saying, how dare you say anything bad? But you live in Yerevan, I have lived 40 years in the US. I live in Yerevan. I see an Armenian in US behaving like a human being. The same human being comes to Yerevan and behaves like he's the owner of the whole place, just because he has $5,000 in his pocket. That's not a humanistic thing. That's not a so-called Christian thing, because Christianity tells everybody is equal, just like communism. Yet, whoever has a $5,000 necklace with the cross on it is a better Christian than somebody with a wooden cross on his neck.
Yeah.
And that's hypocrisy.
There is lots of hypocrisy, so we're hoping that you would change that.
I don't think I will change anything, because my job is not here to change things. My job is here to witness and report it. And then the smart ones are catching up and changing. The stupid ones will stay as stupid as they get. Till one day, because of me being able to penetrate their brains when I respond to them with my stupid comments, because they're responding with stupidity, I penetrate and place some hidden agenda in their brains. And this is my joke all over. I always talk about it. So one day they will wake up when I tell them to wake up. But till then, they're just acting as stupid as they get, thinking that they're protecting their Armenian identity.
So you do not push the political envelope. You're staying with the social, cultural stuff.
Yeah. Well, see, politics, yesterday I had an interview. Independent Armenia has had 4 different leaders or ways of leading this country. We will have another 14 more. The more Odaramol we are, the more we're going to stay as stupid as we are. But when you change your culture, you are changing the whole essence of your country. Today in Yerevan, you walk on the streets and you see all these English words written in Armenian. This is, it's not hypocrisy, it is stupidity. How can you talk about fake news written in Armenian and it says fake news? Some people are typing to me. So when a kid walks by and reads in Armenian the word fake news at age 3 and 4, because that's his mother language he's learning. When he grows up,
go ahead, respond to people if you want.
yeah. So he or she, that baby who is 3-4 years, who knows Armenian only and doesn't know foreign language, when they grow up, for them it's not going to be gerz lurer, it's going to be fake news. So your language changes. And once your language changes, your identity changes, and you become not an Armenian, you become somebody that says, my ancestors were Armenians. And now here comes the $1 million question where they say, well, here is this great person who doesn't speak Armenian, yet he's full-blooded Armenian because he gave $5 million to this cause.
Yeah.
So the hypocrisy is that money takes over. Imagine if 10 million people on the planet who call themselves Armenians did not speak Armenian. So what's the difference of them and the American people or the French people? I mean, American people and French people are different because one speaks French, one speaks English. If you're going to speak English with Armenian accent, with Armenian letters, then you're an American, you're not Armenian. And it's so funny that Armenians in Yerevan and in Los Angeles, they always say, what did America give to the world? When we had culture, they had nothing. Today you walk in Yerevan, every other club is jazz, American music, English words. The public announcements and things, they're using all this English, shopping, overdraft, overdraft, and such on. And yet, they come and they have the audacity to say that America has no culture. When we had culture, they had nothing. My dear friends, when Armenia has no culture right now, we're just copying from America. Or, as I always say, if in 100 years China becomes the most powerful country on the planet, Armenians will be the first to adopt the Chinese language as part of their so-called Armenian back then. Instead of saying shopping in Armenian, they're going to utilize the Chinese equivalent of it, and they say, yes, I saw katsi. Because we are just suckers, we like to copy anybody who is in power. We have done it in the Roman times, we have done it in the Byzantine times, we have done it in the Persian times, in the Ottoman Empire. In today's society, we are doing it too.
When they ask me about the revolution, this political revolution, and I just, when I go like at least twice a year to Armenia, and I travel around. And when they ask me, and I told them, I said, you guys, Armenia need mind revolution. Your problem is, doesn't matter how much political revolution you do, it's gonna come like Pashinyan 1 year, 2 year, everybody gonna start hating him and all that stuff. But is the mind revolution Armenia need to change, because they have to move from 18th century to 25th century, whether they like it or not, but that's how the world is going.
Yeah, see, it's so unfortunate that what you're saying and what I'm saying, 51% of Armenians, they're going to look at it as we hate Armenia and Armenians. The logical part, they don't understand that you have the right to expose the wrongs and make it into better. See, somebody told me about Yerevan, and I said, how can you justify when they build a building in Yerevan, the facade is perfectly marble stones and everything, and all three other sides of the building is cement, and it is the ugliest of everything. I said, when you walk in Yerevan, you look at buildings, and everybody who has purchased an apartment has extended the balcony to be another room. And they have painted the 3rd floor in red, the 7th floor in purple, the 5th floor in yellow. And then you call this is the most beautiful place in the world. So we need to accept the reality that we need to have some rules, and people have to obey the rules. Armenia has rules. I think we are more proud of Armenia than all those hypocrites who will tell us that we are bashing Armenia. Armenia has rules, but people in Armenia don't follow rules. And that's just like in the US, we follow, when you go to a stop sign and there is no cop, you stay there till it is your right of way. In Armenia, there is no right of way. There are a few times where the electricity was shut down and intersections with the traffic lights were not working. You should have seen how it was, all cars were like against each other and nobody wanted to give the right of way to the person on the right, just like we do in a civilized society. But here, If you had a bigger car, you put your car's nose inside the intersection, another person comes, and you are stuck, jammed, and nobody wants to give the right of way to the other person. And then when you talk about that we are so uneducated in social behavior, people start giving you all this BS about we had this, we had that, we had this, we have Victor Ampartsumyan, we have this person, we have Rupem Mamulyan, we have Kirkirkorian and such on. And I always tell them, why are you taking the credit of that important person to yourself?
Yeah.
You need to be smart as them. So when there's traffic light, there's no light in Yerevan streets, then you don't just jam the intersection. You just let the person on your right go first, and then in turn you go, because that's how we do it in America. But they don't want to listen to you because they know everything. And that's more hypocrisy. The traffic issue in Yerevan could be solved in one day with all the lights and the right and the left turns. Like, take, for example, the Mashtots-Bogoda. There are only two places that you can make left turn, and the rest you have to go and turn around, just like when you come.
You just
Yes.
said Mashtots. Why do they call that street Prospect? You know,
Because our leaders back when they were Soviet Union, that street was called Prospect. And then when Armenia became independent, they changed it to Mashtots, Mesrod Mashtots. But then people are stuck with their old lovers. You know, when you're with a woman and then you change that woman to another woman, you always want to go back to the first woman. So here we are hypocrites and masochists, even though the Soviet system destroyed us, and even though they gave us good education, but they turned us into parakeets who can always utter what you have learned to say, but you can't utilize your brain to be able to put a sentence together. So Mashtot Street is the old Prospect, and everybody calls it Prospect.
yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, somebody said to me, "Go Prospect." It's just there, you know. And I go there. I look at the street. It says Mashtot. I was totally confused. Then somebody said, explain to me what was the difference. But now anyway. Yeah. Well, you know. So you're enjoying there, and we could see that every day you're going eating masgoof. You know, where is it?
No, that's it. No, that was yesterday. My friend Nubar came from LA and he invited me.
Where is
Actually,
that?
that picture is from a bunch of young kids invited me to meet up. That's the masgoof that you're showing right now.
Yeah.
He invited me to this Iraqi. It's so interesting. 15 years ago, a Hayastansi would never go to a foreign place to eat anything. Today, everybody goes to the Arabic, Chinese, Italian, Spanish. You walk in Yerevan and you feel you're not in Armenia. You feel in another country that doesn't have an identity. And I made fun of the shawarma and the lahmacun. It's just like as if you're in any Arabic country where all the stores sell lahmacun and shawarma, which is two Arabic words. You come to Yerevan, every corner, the word shawarma, which they don't even know what it means, is written in Armenian, and lahmacun. You go to Georgia, they're more proud of their national identity than Armenians in Hayastan. We Armenians are like bastards. We don't know what we are, yet we have the greatest knowledge provided to us. We adapt to anything like prostitutes. Whoever pays us the money, we do anything they want us to do. And when I talk like this, people get mad at me because we were the first Christian people. We are so sainthood, but we do all the things against what the Bible tells us to do.